Long-standing member of the West Indian Ex-Servicemen, Women and Women Association, and its former public relations officer passed away in London on Monday, January 11th of this year. Lawrence, known as Laurie, was born August 30th, 1922 in Kingston, Jamaica, and attended Kingston College before the call was made from England. He was drafted for the service as the Second World War broke out. He enlisted in the Royal Air Force and was stationed in the Signal Center as a telegraph operator, where he served for 7 years. At the end of the war, he joined the printing company in Nottingham and was active in the community when he was demobbed in 1947. When the SS Windrush arrived at Hillsbury Dock from the Caribbean in 1948, he provided these new arrivals by rehabilitating them and assisting them to housing and further education and employment. During his period of residence in Nottingham, he helped his wife, Marion, who he provided a number of West Indian immigrants with clothes and winter essentials. But the man was a veteran, and he gave back to his community. And one of the things that we lose is that we're losing our World War II veterans from around the world. And on Friday, we always try to remember that sacrifice that is global and universal of our veterans. I shared this story because these are one of the great veterans of the greatest generation, but we don't often recognize across the pond, and we are heard in Great Britain. So we want to share a little bit of the news of the loss of this man, because sometimes you never know. We work side by side with these individuals, and you never know if there's a World War II pilot that might have been around this man when he was alive. So we want to share this news and information. You can find the link on our Facebook page. That being said, I am excited for tonight's broadcast because it's really, really big news, and we're just going to stay live until the broadcast begins on Dr. Moore's side so that we can begin to have an online discussion that we can talk about the issues that we are facing. There are changes coming, folks, as far as how we are to receive justice. And we want to talk about that issue live, and we want you to join us live. We are not using our Brooklyn Navy Yard call-in number. The conference number is 724-444 7444. Conference number is 93845. That is the conference number. We're going to share this big news shortly, but if you want to join us, we're live. So, we're waiting a little bit longer to begin our live show. And we are live. If you want to join us in our chat room, we have both chat rooms on Spreaker and on TalkShoe.
Right. I can't wait. This is going to be a fabulous show. Did you tell them about petition that we're going to have by Monday?
No, I was waiting because I didn't get into the meat and potatoes of it because we weren't, you weren't ready to really start talking about it. So I was just trying to rattle and give them the information that we have for today that is coming up. One of the things that if anybody is watching this presidential primary, it is very, 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 very interesting. We have Mr. Trump, who's leading on the other side. We have Hillary and the fight between Bernie. It seems like everybody's fighting, supposedly. But the real deal is we have to figure out what's really going on here. we're hearing a lot of talk about the primaries that are upcoming in Wisconsin, and there was a bit of an uproar on the Republican side because it seems that it's a major challenge coming out of Wisconsin for Mr. Trump. So the party has not been. It has not been. Can we get along the election cycle this year? And we have a serious challenge by Mr. Cruz. Now, I don't know if our veteran audience is aware of it, but Mr. Cruz is one that Senator Ted Cruz is the one that caused the shutdown. And when we had this shutdown in 2013, we had our fallen brethren who were left on the tarmac at Dover and unable to be taken home. This we found to be outrageous, and it was that act alone that brought America's disabled veterans, ADVIA.media, to the forefront and center of news and information for veterans. Now, as we've been doing our investigative work and talking about what has been going on, we have found that it's a rabbit hole, folks. We find out that, through our week at the library, the 3 days that we spent in the annals of the Library of Congress, you find out that the 14th Amendment isn't real in the Constitution. There's an original 13th isn't real, and we're going to do more broadcasting on that fact this evening. We don't often understand that the 14th Amendment was never fully ratified, and we've talked about that on the air, where we have brought up the issue that Ohio and New Jersey in 1868 stuck the final nails in the coffin for the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, as we know it, was affirmed by the Supreme Court, to assure that there was equal protection. But this equal protection is not real because it was never ratified. So if it was never ratified, we have a sense of fraud that's being perpetrated on the American public. And people are waking up to it, but we're not all aware of exactly what's going on. But it's evident in the way that some of our citizens, I won't say some of the people, not citizens, some of the people of the Republic are being treated. And this treatment is whether you're before law enforcement, which leads you before the judicial circuit, in criminal activity, we're not aware of everything that is taking place behind the scenes. Now, one of the reasons that I asked Dr. Moore to make sure that she joins us this evening is to bring about the discussion on what's going on in the judiciary. And a lot that the Pope is doing is actually bringing about a significant change that affects us all globally. And this is where we're going to pick up, because we're going to join in the discussion of talking about how we can get redress for the wrongs of the separations of families, to the fact of the matter that we're not being given full disclosure. And where there is fraud, it's the rule of first effect. None of it has any relevance. It's not valid. It all has to be thrown out. So we're going to come together and we're going to talk about what we can do about it. And what we're going to do about it is put together a petition of redress. This petition of redress has to be something that we bring about to make sure that we can do more, make more happen in the lives of our men and women who are in service. See, because fraud literally kills any contract. And the thing is that when we have this type of thing going on, we have to do what we can do in order to make it happen. So I want to ask everybody to please join us. So I want to ask everybody to please join us and to, check us out on TalkShoe, check us out on Spreaker. We are live and broadcasting to you so that you can hear what's going on and how it's going to possibly change lives for our men and women who have lost their children because of the honor debt that they're fulfilling in going to this nation's service. Dr. Shirley, you there?
I'm right here.
I'm
still trying to get this thing together. I'll continue talking. You're doing very good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure to see if you had anything to add to it, because I don't want to just, miss the opportunity here. But we have an obligation. See, folks, we have an obligation to bring you this news and information. I try to make sure that our discussions, especially when we're talking about the honor debt that veterans put into the nation to meet this term of service. See, because, when you go to the military, I'm talking for both sides, those on TalkShoe and on Spreaker at this point. When you go into the military, as I was telling Dr. Shirley, this is not something that you take lightly. You sign a contract where you give away to the Uncle Sugar, Uncle Sam. That's what I call him, and it's a nickname of the Air Force. When they tell you Uncle Sugar wants to give you something, it's usually your pay. But the end result of it is, when you look at this and you sign away your life, you raise your hand, you take that oath, you are committed to the to your military branch for you are committed to the military branch for 7 days a week, 365, and they'll give you in return 30 days vacation per year. Now, out of that time, the rest of that 1 month that you off, if you are actually in the Air Force or in the Navy or the Army, you can't walk away from that job. And if you're not at your job at your appointed time, you could actually end up in military jail. Now, this is like if you show up late and different things like that, your supervisor can make it very tough for you. So it's a different type of lifestyle, and it's more rigorous than most people would even begin to imagine unless you have served. When you serve, you really do suspend your constitutional privilege. But your suspension of your constitutional privilege limited to the fact that you are guided by the Uniform Military Code of Justice. So that's why we want to talk about the fact of the matter that what does the honor debt consist of? And that honor debt is because you have suspended your constitutional liberties to partake of the Uniform Military Code of Justice to actually answer the nation's needs and calls for service. And those things should not be taken lightly when we do this, because oftentimes our men and women, upon enlisting, they're on the clock 24/7. Their hours don't end, and yes, they may have jobs in the military that only require 8 hours out of the day. In addition to that, they can be called up in the middle of the night and recalled. Oftentimes that happens. Whether you're in any branch of service, You can be off duty. If the ship is under fire, you are under fire. If you're